In today's video, guys, we will be looking at the MSI MAG Forge 100R. Let's take an unboxing and then we'll have a little overview. Let's go. So this is the MSI MAG Forge 100R. Now this case features two ARGB fans at the front, which are 120mm each, and also a 120mm fan at the back, which is only like a black fan and a non-RGB fan. Basically as well, it has a tempered glass at the front here, not all the way down. There is actually a PSU stroud here, which obviously takes up the majority of the bottom there. The tempered glass is kind of cut off a little bit at the bottom there, so it's not the full glass at the front. Perforated mesh at the front here, which is obviously nice, and the two ARGB fans, which is obviously a big bonus as well. This does actually just come off from the bottom there if you need to obviously clean your fans. There isn't actually another filter in there, unfortunately, so it is unfiltered. Here's the actual front panel. So obviously no actual filtration anywhere else. And then you can actually fit three 120mm fans at the front, and you could obviously do a radiator, a 360mm radiator as well if you wanted to, which is obviously nice, but I think most people are just going to keep the default fans with this look at the front. So now the top of the case, pretty much standard. We have obviously our power button, our reset button, headphone and microphone jack, which is obviously nice, two separate jacks, which is obviously better, I think. Two USB 3 ports, which is obviously nice to have. No USB-C, but I don't think for a budget case this is really needed. And then there is actually an LED button, a separate LED button to change the fan. So actually you will use the reset button just as normal. If your motherboard has an ARGB port, then you can use that, and then you just plug that in and then use your software on your motherboard. There's also a perforated mesh at the top here. You can install two 120mm fans or two 140mm fans. Although I think the 140mm fans are going to be a little bit close to your motherboard. So I think probably just install the two 120mm fans personally. I don't think, I mean, you could put a radiator up there, but to be honest, the spacing isn't that great for that. So I probably would just say radiator at the front rather than radiator at the top. But obviously it's up to you if you want to go radiator at the top. You'd only be able to get a 240 or a 280 at the top, obviously. 360 is obviously not going to be possible. Taking a look at the sort of rear side of the case now. We've got 120mm fan at the back here, which is obviously pre-installed, which is a black one, a non-RGB fan, which is fine. And there is a little bit of adjustment there, but it's pretty standard on most cases, that. We do have these... It's one of those little like razor things, so you know you can raise this up, put your cards in, then slot it back down and screw it in. I don't really like these little things on the PCI brackets, but they are where they are, and it's okay. Also, the PCI brackets are all the knockout ones, the one-use ones, rather than replaceable or reusable ones. So I don't really like that with this case, but it's a budget case. So talking about price, we can go on to that now. I paid £55, which I think is fair, seeing as you do get the two ARGB fans and obviously the one fan at the back. I think that's fair overall. £55, but let me know what you think in the comments. And then obviously we just have our PSU cut out here, which the PSU can only go one way as well. That's another thing. You have to put the fan face down, as you can see here. As we move on to the back here, there is four big legs here, actually. Four big legs, which do give you about 1 inch or so thickness to actually, which gives you that little bit of breathing space if you do put this on the floor, or if you do put this on the desk, it will give your PSU some breathing space. Removable dust cover for the PSU is one of those kind of crappy ones like this. It's okay, it's not the full removable one. Obviously this is a budget case, so you kind of have to expect that. Then we have a removable hard drive cage as well, which is here. And that can be moved a bit more forward if you want to, or well, more back if you want to, or you can keep it on the forward setting, or obviously you can take out these 4 screws and then take out the whole bracket itself, which is obviously can aid in terms of cable management. That covers mostly the case, but obviously let's look inside the case now. So these 2 screws that I'm just taking off now aren't captive. Again, it's a budget case and not really too concerned about that. So this is the little fan hub, which can take 6 ARGB fans in total, and obviously 2 of them are pre-wired for you. It's actually really nice that this case does pre-wire everything for you. Personally, I really like that. I don't really like cases where you're having to install the fans and wire them and everything, or sometimes they don't even give you the hub or anything like that at the back, so you kind of have to buy a separate hub, which is really annoying. I don't like that at all. But this is nice that it's actually done it all for you. There's even like extenders on the fan, so if you want to plug your ARGB into multiple other fans, you can as well do that. Obviously you get a quick start guide here, which I'll leave to the side. So as you can see, the power supply, there is a fair amount of clearance there. You probably won't be able to see too much, but I'll put on the stats how much there is. There's little caddies as well, which is like your 3.5-inch drives that will take these caddies. There's 2 of those caddies. One 3.5-inch drive or one 2.5-inch drive as well, which there is actually little screw holes, so you can obviously screw your 2.5-inch in instead. But obviously, really, these bays down here are really for your 3.5-inch drives. But again, as I said, you can actually just remove this hard drive caddy if you totally want to. So another good thing is that the pre-installed fans actually come with a PWM header, so which is the 4-pin one rather than the 3-pin one, so that's also a nice feature as well. This fan hub here just connects into your like a SATA port or a SATA cable basically for your power, and then you can plug in your ARGB header onto your motherboard on this side as well, so you can get control of the fans on your motherboard using your motherboard software. There is a 2.5-inch like little tray here which you can take off with a screw. There's only one there, but it's okay, it will work fine. Most people again probably going to use NVMe drives or M.2 drives, so I don't think that's going to be needed. There's actually a really good amount of clearance here, probably about an inch or so, maybe 2 centimeters, maybe even just a bit over 2 centimeters. So you should have plenty of room to stuff your cables up the back fine. There should be easy enough room to run your EPS cable up this side, and then obviously route in your 24-pin this side. Well, shouldn't have any problem fitting in all your cables fine, and then putting your side panel back on fine. USB 3 connector for your motherboard, your audio, and then I don't really like this too much, but they're kind of, it's obviously not a block, it's not like NZXT, they're all separate for your front panel headers, they're all separate, so a little bit fiddly, but it is what it is there. As for the routing channels, I think they're perfectly fine, there's plenty of tie down points here. I think generally cable management isn't really a problem in this case at all. I'll just take off the glass panel now. As you can see, full ATX motherboard support. Obviously you can go MATX or you can even go ITX as well, but obviously you should really be going ATX motherboard with an ATX case really. The power supply shroud, like I say, is fully covered. There's no like bits which shows the power supply at all, so that's really great. In the little bag of screws you actually get 1 PCI bracket like a replacement. So if you need to put them at the front, if you need to put them into one of those 7 PCI slots and you want to cover it, then you have one spare, which is nice. And also there's quite a lot of cable ties as well there. There's about 6 or so, I think. Only the 6 standoffs are actually pre-applied into the case, so if you do have a motherboard that obviously goes to the 9 screws, where it's a little bit bigger, you will have to put in the additional few screws which they're giving you in the bag there. You will have to put the standoffs additionally, screw them in, and then obviously put your motherboard in. Like I said, at the top there is actually a fair amount of clearance, but I'd still be a little bit concerned about putting a radiator at the top there. I still think you can do it, but it's going to be a little bit tight. There is enough clearance, but I'd probably say radiators at the front personally, but it's your choice. So again, the graphics card support is actually very good here. And I don't know exactly how much it is, but I will put it on the screen. I think it's probably about 350mm you can probably fit in here, maybe even more. So you're really going to have lots of GPU support here, and it's going to be fine. Like I say, there's no additional hard drive cages or anything, so you should be able to put your GPU all the way across easily if you've got one of those really big like 3090s or 4090s or something stupid. But I think for a budget case you're not really going to obviously be using that high-end sort of graphics card, but the option's there if you need it. So overall I do think this is a really nice case. Like I said, I only paid £55 for this off Amazon, which I'm really happy with. I think there's going to be a really good flip case, so People kind of like the whole RGB bling at the front. I think that's going to be nice. And I think it will sell pretty quick, this sort of PC, if you can get a decent budget build in it. So something I've got planned is the Ryzen 5 4500 with a GTX 1070 in as well. So that should be really good. But I'll show you that once that's all complete and what have you as well. But there won't be a build here today, but we will be doing a build eventually into this. So obviously subscribe to actually see that. And I hope you like the video, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.